Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to the start of another week of fun and music discussion. And we're going to start this week with part 8 of the Gong story. We've nearly done. We've got one more week to do. And today we're going to have a look at Mother Gong. Okay, Mother Gong is another offshoot of the jazz fusion prog band Gong. Now this version was first imagined by Gilly Smith, who is the voice whisperer for Gong. And in 1978 she wanted to promote her album Mother. And in 1979 Gilly met Harry Williamson, and Mother Gong became the vehicle for their music projects together, with several distinct lineups of musicians over the next 15 years. In 1994 Harry left and Gilly continued with the same name until 2006, although she did bring out something in 2005 which we will discuss next week. So under the name of Mother Gong, 11 albums were released. Now, of all the Gong incarnations, this is the one that I really did struggle with. For some reason I just really couldn't get into this version of Gong. But as most there are tracks on all the albums I do like, so it's not that I don't dislike them. I like quite a few of the tracks, but it's the weakest of the bands, I think. So we'll have a look at these 11 albums. So coming in at number 11 we'll have the 5th album from 1986, and it is Robot Woman 3. So we've got on vocals and space whispering Gilly Smith, Harry Williamson on the piano, synthesizer, drums and backing vocals. And backing vocals are done by Alicia, Alison B and John and Lee, Nadine Honey and the Silly Symphony Band, and Tom the Poet. Okay, the first track is called It's You and Me, Baby Tabla. This is weird. It's just like a jazz noise, and I really couldn't get into this as much as I tried. Then we get Faces of a Woman. This isn't too bad. This features Daevid Allen on this one. It's not bad. It's quite atmospheric. I don't mind it. Now there's a track called Desire War. Now for some reason I could not find this to listen to. I looked everywhere, so I can't tell you what it's about. The same with Children's Song. I couldn't find it anywhere to listen to on all the places I look. But if you know where they are, put them in the where I can go and have a listen to them, because I would like to listen to them. So if you know where these tracks are that I can stream and listen to, put it in the box below. I'd love to hear them. Okay, then the next song we can listen is called Arnold. This is quite nice. Again, very gentle. Gilly's vocal is just something else. Then we have a collection of tracks that I just couldn't find. Ladies Songhorns, Woman of Streams guitar. Woman of Streams. I forgot to put the space in between the word guitar. I'm Sorry, Men Cry, and Solutions. No, I couldn't find them anywhere. But the last track, Magenta Part 1, is really good. It's my favourite track on the album that I've heard. It's got all that, it's proper, and it's Daevid Allen's involved, so it's got that proper Gong sound to it. It's really, really good. Unfortunately, there's a lot of this album, as I said, I can't listen to. So the ones I've found are on mostly compilation tracks from this album. But the ones I have heard, apart from the first one, are all okay. So I can only give this a 4 out of 10 because I haven't listened to the whole album. Okay, then coming in at number 10, we have the 8th album from 1991, Wild Child. On here we've got Gilly Smith on vocals, Conrad Henderson on the bass, Harry Williamson synthesizer, and Robert George on the drums, Robert Calvert on saxophones. First track on this one is called Time Yeah, really nice track. I love the saxophone and the bass on this. Best track on the album, and it's a really good, interesting vocal from Gilly. Really good track. Then we have a good augment and this lady. This sort of starts okay. The augment bit is really nice, and then lady goes off into some sort of atmospheric weirdness. I struggled with the second bit of that track. Today's Beautiful. 15 instruments, 15 musicians, all playing different things. I really don't get into that sort of music. It just sounds as just a wall of sound. Crazy Downfire. This isn't too bad. One of the better tracks on the album. It's a little bit more coherent. We Women. Unfortunately, I struggled with this one as well. It's not very coherent. It seems to be very disjointed, and Gilly's vocal on this is just bizarre. I've always tried to listen to these and get into them, but I just couldn't get into that track. Then we get Child. Now this is really good. Gilly's spoken word on this really fits this song. Really good. Super Boots. Very unique sort of vocal from Gilly. I sort of get this one. Okay, this one's a bit of a mixed bag here for me. There are some really good tracks on here, but there are ones that I really struggled with on this. I'll be quite honest. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we get to 1988 now, and the 6th album, Fish in the Sky. Same lineup: Gilly Smith, Conrad Henderson, Harry Williamson, Robert George, and Robert Calvert. First track is the title track, Fish in the Sky. This is really good. I really like this one. Some tremendous saxophone here work from Robert Calvert. Really good start to the album. Who We Were Raging. I don't like this. There's lots of bongos. It just doesn't make sense. Time. This is really good. The vocal sort of fits in with the tune. It's really works. I like that track as well. Solid little track. Then we get I Sing. My favourite track on this. It's got some gentle guitar work on this. Really nice tune. Then we get True to Love poem. It's not too bad. Basically, it's a little bit of backing music and a poem. And the poem's quite good if you listen to the words. I've got no problem with the words. It's a nice poem. Cafe Reflection. This is an oddball. I'm not keen on this one. It's all over the place. Then we get a track called I Am a Tree Too. A little bit out there for me, but listening to it, I do appreciate the musicianship on this. To play this really obscure stuff, you know, people just think, oh, it must be easy. No, I don't think it is. And hats off to these guys. And that was the last track on the album. Again, it's got some good tracks on it, and it's got some tracks that are a little bit too much for me. but I'll give that one an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we have the first album from Mother Gong from 1979, and it is called Fairy Tales. Basically, it's some fairy tales done to some music. So we've got Gilly Smith on the vocal, Harry Williamson on the guitar, Trevor Darks on bass, Nick Turner on flutes and oboe, Eduardo Nabola on guitar, Marianne Alberacher on the harp, Mo Vicarage on keyboards, Ronnie Wathen on uilleann pipes, Pippo de Baldegrass reeds and woodwind, and Armo Gisho Ebra on percussion. So the first fairy tale is Vasilia. It's broken up into 3 riders: the Baba Yaga's cottage, the Forbidden Room, and the time machine and flying. Vasilia returns through the machine, the Baba Yaga. The 3 tongues. We got the Shoemaker's Son, Land of Dogs, the Frog, an Irish Inn in Rome, the Arena, Turtles, Birds, and the Feast. Then we get the Pied Piper, which is my favourite on here. I love the story of the Pied Piper. And you've got Hamlin, Rats Amok, An Angry Crowd, Rat Rock, 1,000 Guilders, Children, and Magic Land. This is very hard to rank and review, because basically it's a fairy tale put to music. I think it's wonderfully done. I think Gilly does a perfect to read these stories, and I found it a very atmospheric and enjoyable album. But you can't call it a music album in my books. It's just a book of stories. It's the sort of thing you'd put on an audio. And which would I have? I've actually put this onto my audio iPod, because it's a really good listen if you like traditional fairy tales. And I love Pied Piper of Hamelin, so that's the reason I've got put it on there. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking, excuse me, a 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we get the 7th album now. This was released in 1989, and it's called The Owl and the Tree. On here we've got Daevid Allen on vocals, glissandro and acoustic guitars, Gilly Smith doing her usual speaking voice and space whispers, and on this it's got stillness. Don't ask me. Harry Williamson on the synthesizers and keyboards and vocals, Robert Calvert breathing into the microphone and saxophone. This is what it says on the album notes. Rob George drums and percussion, Conrad Henderson bass guitar, Tim Ayers does some bass guitar, Wandara Arahart harmonium and voices, and Georgia O'Hara vocals. Opens up with I Am a Tree. Definitely my favourite track. Lots of vibraphone on it. The sax is pretty good, and Gilly's little mystique voice is very good. Lament, nice strumming guitar on this and drumming. Like the saxophone on it. It's a really good track. Hands a little bit jointed, and it's the one that I really struggled with on this. Ali, the lyrics are a bit out there, but it's listenable. La Dimadi, this is weird, but I like it. It's a song that you cannot dislike. Owlie's song, it's just out there like Pluto. Daevid Allen is just, I don't know what he's on. I Am My Own Lover. Now this is a long track, it's 14 minutes. It's an interesting piece. I do like it. It goes a bit in the middle of it. It sort of goes off on something, but it comes back in. So it's not a bad track. Love Poem. The lyrics are really good, and a great performance by Gilly. delivering it. Coda Wave, very strange noises. It's not very good. Musically, I think this is a pretty good album, but what lets it down for me, some of the vocal delivery is a bit weird, but I do appreciate their brand of music. They're a little bit different, and even though I'm not very keen on it, I do appreciate it. So I'm going to give this album an RTO ranking of 5.7. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we got the 9th album from 1993, and this is called She Made the World Magenta. So we've got Gilly Smith on here doing all the usual bits. Conrad Henderson on the bass, Robert George is on the drums, Harry Williamson is on guitars and synth, Robert Clavert's on the saxophone. First track on here is called Magenta Drone. Features Daevid Allen as well on this. I like the idea of this, but it's so long. It's 32 minutes long, and to me it's about 25 minutes too long. It's got a nice drone with some vocal bits from Gilly, but it's so boring for 32 minutes. Water Musician. This reminds me of sort of thing that Jean-Michel Jarre was doing in the 2000s, you know, of his Tear and Tear and them sort of era. It's really good. I like that. She Made the World. My favourite track on the album. It reminds me of sort of David Gilmour solo stuff. Nice guitar work. The saxophone sounds great. Really like that. Then we get the weather, atmospheric keyboards, really nice saxophone. Gilly's vocal is really good. Not a bad little track. Then we get a funny track called Melissa's Sausage. It's weird, short, it's only a minute and a half. It's weird, doesn't make any sense. Seahorse. Now this is the one thing that I like about these Mother Gong albums, is the saxophone work on it. It's atmospheric, and this one's got a really nice jazzy bass line to it. I like that track. Spirit. This is quite comical if you listen to the lyrics. I'm not going to go into it because they are quite strong, and yes, you can't really talk about them, but it's quite funny. Just with a bit of background music, yeah, it's okay. Tattered, this one's okay. It's like just background music and words over it. Then we get Wapu. This is fantastic. Acoustic guitars, like listening to that one. Really solid track. When Is the Show Over? It's alright. Bongos, sax don't really went together. And then I Am a Witch. 1 minute 14 of weirdness. Then we got The Spirit of the Bush. It's a really ambient track with lots of background noises. It's actually okay. Then we get Blessed. It's just got weird talking on it and wonderful echoes. Yeah, it's not a bad album. As most of them, there's got some stuff on there I really couldn't get into, but on the whole it was quite a good listen. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the final, not the final album, but the 11th. It's a bit weird how they do these. It came out in 1994 and it was the 11th album, and it's called Tree in Fish. We've got Gilly Smith on here, Harry Williamson, Robert Clavert, Rob George and Conrad Henderson. The Alley is a track from The Owl and the Tree, which they've rehashed. Love Poems as well. It's off The Owl and the Tree. And Lament, there from the Allen Tree, they just rehashed them. So the first new track on here is called Between Us. This is quite quirky, I've got no problem with it, even though it is quite bizarre. She Smiled, the eerie saxophone is the highlight of that track, really good. The Mother Goddess, it's one of those tracks that's telling a story with sound effects to it. It's weird, but if you listen to it under the headphones, you really do appreciate it. Cafe Reflections, again, is one of these rehashed tracks. It's okay, they've just tweaked it a little bit. The House Is Not the Same, one of those tracks with some nice sax. Space Tango is brilliant. Saxophone on this is terrific. The Beach is Hot. This is just a mishmash of instruments playing different tunes. Not very good at all. Then we get a track called Bailin'. This is really good. It's a proper jazz fusion track. Good bass line in there. Some nice percussion like that track. We got Touch. I didn't like this one. Again, it's just loads of noises. Tree Eye. Sometimes you just wonder what they were on when they wrote these songs. It's weird as they come. The lyrics are just bizarre, but I like the bizarre sometimes. And Jilly just hits it on the head with that one. Brilliant stuff. Tree 2 is just a continuation of Tree 1. Whitful Housewife, nah, terrible track. Crying, bit of a filler, just screeching noises. Man and Woman is just filler, doesn't make no sense. This is a good album, but you have to really concentrate on it when you're listening to it. You don't put this on as a background piece, you have to be sitting down. I think the best way of listening to this was under the headphones, because you've got no sort of distractions going on. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.2. Okay, coming in at number 4 is an album that goes down in the book as Mother Gong and Anthony Phillips, and that is of course Anthony Phillips ex Genesis, and it's called Battle of the Birds. It came out in 1981. So on here, on flute, we've got John Haslett. That's the first one down. You can tell it's done on a Monday because I haven't stuck it down properly. Flute and saxophone Didier Malberg from Gong. Guitar by Anthony Phillips. Harry Williamson's on guitar. Narrator is Gilly Smith. And then we got voice actors, because it's more of a thing. We've got Gilly Smith, Becky, Cobbler's wife, Aardvark, Trevor. It's people doing the voice actors, and there's Daevid Allen on this as well. So the tracks on here, we've got the Battle of and the Raven's Gift. The Giant Claims His Reward. The King's Son Falls in Love with Auburn Mary. Thatching the Briar. The Pin Tree. Auburn Mary is pierced together again. Yeah. The Wedding Dance. Escaping on the Wedding Night. Aubrey Mary Tricks the Giant. The Giant Drowns. The Birds Remind the King's Son of his forgotten Auburn Mary. Where Is My Love Now? The Song of Auburn Mary. The Marriage. That was the last track. This again is one of them really nice albums. Some lovely guitar work from Anthony Phillips. It's lovely to hear his guitar playing and going. It's a really good story. Again, it's one of them albums that you can't rank as an individual track because it's just continuation. I really like this. Again, it's gone into my audio because it's a really good story, and I really enjoyed this one, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.4. Okay, then coming in at number 3, we have the 10th album from 1994, Gilly Smith's on here, Harry Williamson, Robert Calvert, Rob George, but on bass this time is Doug Kerr, and the male voice is Tom the Poet. Okay, opens up with a little fanfare, about 48 seconds, quirky, proper fanfare. Then we get She's the Mother of. This is really good. It's one of them tunes that really should have been in a 1960s spy movie. Really good track. Sunday. This is quite good. It's a jolly little track. I love the way Gilly delivers the lyric in this in such a humorous way. Beds, really nice backing vocals, very short piece. Time is hurrying dark. It's a storytelling sort of track, and I do like how Gilly delivers the storytelling. Ancient. This is my favourite track. I like the bass line, the percussion's really good. And then we get a thing called Zen. It's a bit of tribal drumming with a bit of a saxophone thrown in. Not bad at all. Quantum, I'm not keen on this one. There's loads of noises. Spirit Canoe, one of my favourite pieces. It's got xylophones and vibraphones. Really good. What if we were gods and goddesses? Weird as you like. Sounds like Gilly's on some sort of illegal substance. Very weird. Auction, quite fun. And it's only a short piece, but it's quite fun. Little Boy. Lots of vibraphone on this. The lyrics are quite inappropriate for these times, though, so we won't go on much about that. Magic Stories, proper jazzy thing. Got some interesting sax on this and good drums. Excuses, very short thing. Sax Canoe. It's 52 seconds of grunty saxophone. Fairies Laughter, one of Gilly's offshoots of weirdness. And Virtual Reality sounds like Spinal Tap's Jazz Odyssey. What I found about Mother Gong, I don't like all the tracks on this album, on the albums, but on this one there's a lot I do like. Some really good stuff on here and some pointless stuff on this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay then, coming in at number 2, we've got the third album from 1981, and it's called Robot Woman. So on here we've got Gilly and Harry Williamson as ever. Then we got Jan Emmerich on acoustic guitars. Bass is done by Dane Cranenberg. Bass is also played by Hugh Hopper. Guy Evans is on the drums, and Didier Malberg on saxophone, piccolo and flutes. And backing vocals, Alicia, Alison Adele and Orlando and Tally. Orlando being Orlando Allen, I believe. First track on here is called Disco at the End of the World. This is what I call a mixture of disco jazz fusion. Nice tune, nice upbeat stuff, really good. Woman's Place. Words are not very appropriate for these times, and I don't particularly like it anyway. Robot Woman, really good track, but you wouldn't write stuff like this now. You'd get cancelled. Machine Song, although again the lyrics on this are very, very dated, and it'd upset lots of people now, but it's a really good chance tune. The Sea, a little bit of post-punk here. We've gone from jazz to post-punk. Really good guitars on this. Searching the Airways, quite funky in places. I like this. It's got a good bass line. Then we get my favourite track on this one, Billy Bunker's Blues. A little bit of bluesy jazz with vocal, pretty cool. Like that one. Military Procession, I love it. It's just drums and penny whistle, marching band stuff with Gilly's dulcet tones. Customs Man, again jazz punk, really good. Fire's okay. Red Alert, not the best track on the album, I'm afraid. Stars, very atmospheric, lots of sound effects and some lovely whispering from Gilly. Australia, This is very comical. I like this. Got lots of didgeridoo, wobble boards, sort of thing. An interesting track. An interesting album, in fact. A lot of the tracks on here I do like, and it's quite a pleasant album to listen to. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. So my number one album. It's been a really interesting. This one was Mother Gong, but this album is the one that really stood out for me, and it's the fourth album from 1982, and it's called Robot Woman 2. Gilly Smith's on vocals and synthesizer, and Harry Williams on guitar and synthesizers, and a huge guest of people as long as your arm. So I'm not going to mention them, we'll be here till next week. So the first track is called Suggestive Station. A really interesting bass line on it. It's quite good. It's space rocky as well, and I really like that. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's called The Train. Well, I don't just like it because it's called Train. Got some guests on here. You got Giles Perring on guitars and vocals. This basically reminds me of something that Frank Zappa would do. It's very Frank Zappa, and I quite like this. It's got that jazzy sort of feel to it. Excellent track. Then we got a track called I Wanna Be With You. Frenetic drumming on this, and it's a bit of a post-punk with a bit of jazz thrown in. Then we get The Moving. Now we've got some guests on this one. Andy Anderson's on drums. Mo Vicarage makes an appearance as well. Just a short piece of weird voiceover, and it really works. I quite like that. The Upwardly Mobile song. We've got Paul Sanchez on the end. It's discontinuation from The Moving Walkway. Then we get a track called Tigers or Elephants. Chris doing this guy called Chris doing tiger impersonations. Really weird. I didn't get it. It's the one track on the album I just didn't get. It's got whatever they want. The person wants to release animals, basically. Then we get Mirror, very psychedelic. I like this, got good rhythm to it. Then you get a track called You Can Touch the Sky. All work, no play makes. Really good here. You got Gilly singing, not whispering, Gilling, but it's really good. Some lovely flute on it as well. Then we get a track called 1999. That's a really good track as well. Nice harmonies on this one. Good track. Crazy Town. This is weird, but actually good. It's just a continuation of 1999. Angry Song. It's not what the title suggests. It's not an angry song or tune. The tune itself is quite mellow. Some lovely singing in this. Really nice song. Looking for one of the weakest tracks on the album, but it has got some nice harmonies. Then Leotard's the last track. Some nice flute playing on this. Very clever track, actually. A really good album. It's got some fantastic playing on this. I think of all the Mother Gong albums, this is the one that I really did tune into. But I did enjoy listening to it because it's another sort of offshoot. But on this one, this is the one that I have played more than the others. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. So there we go, a bit of Mother Gong. It was the one I really struggled with. But next week we've got the last part, and it is a one-off album that was done by Gilly Smith, David and Orlando Allen, and it's called I Am Your Egg. It's got one of the best covers in the Gong catalogue as well. So that will be next week. The classic album today, which is next up, is the album that you love to hate. It's Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses. Is it as good as I really thought? I shall have a look at that. So join me for that later. If this is the first time you've actually watched one of my videos, shows, whatever you'd like to call them, why don't you give me a thumbs up, and why not subscribe? We've got such a huge catalogue of stuff on the channel. We've got from Venom to Shirley Bassey, and I can guarantee there'll be something in this channel that you will like. It's one of the most diverse music channels that I've come across on YouTube. I'm not just saying that, other people have said it as well. So subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss anything. There is stuff every day except Saturday and Sunday, unless you have a birthday or I do a little special with people. So there's always something there for everybody. Go and have a look on the top of the page of thing, and it shows you what we do on each day. So I'll be back later with Appetite for Destruction. Bye for now.